All right, good evening and welcome, my friends. I'm glad you could be here again for ACIM Talks with Reverend Jim. Let's see, it is December 9th, and I hope you're in the midst already of a joyous holiday season. It kind of comes around every year. And so I don't know, for me personally, I don't know how seriously I should take this particular time of year because I'm in favor of never ending Christmases. But I'll take what I can get. And so I try and take it in the spirit that it's intended. So I wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all of that. And I'll get a chance to say that again as we go along. But speaking of Christmas, if we're ready, let's get into our agenda tonight. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And I want to start out by getting our reading list together. I have Ron as number 1, Dee is 2, Joan 3, Kathleen 4, and Sherilyn number 5. Because it's Christmas and we're doing our book study on unity and A Course in Miracles. And so there was this little pamphlet that I got at church, and I go to Unity of Livonia, as you probably know, and Sherilyn goes there, and Joan, you attend virtually, right?
Right.
Yeah. So let me show you the little Advent booklet that Unity publishes. And I know it says Advent 2021, but the insert really is for Advent, the comfort of Christmas in 2024. And there was an article there that caught my attention. And I guess, as many things do, made me think of A Course in Miracles. And the article is called Just Do the Next Thing. So is that big enough to read? Because I'd like to have our readers read it. Maybe I can
It
get
is.
a little bit.
It's big.
Well,
It's big
yeah.
enough. Well,
Yes.
And you see it starts on a typical Saturday morning, right?
yeah.
So Ron, would you get us started with that?
Yes, I will. On a typical Saturday morning in 1977, I was seated cross-legged in the meditation hall floor, crowded with fellow yoga practitioners at the American ashram where I lived. The guru was holding satsang, a gathering for disciples to chant, meditate, and receive a teaching lesson. In the Q&A that followed, one student asked for the guru's guidance in the face of his terrible fear. He wasn't sure what to do, feeling confused about which spiritual practice would be right and which of the spiritual teachers he followed would lead him to the liberation he craved.
Yeah. And let's go to the next column. Maybe we could have Dee read for a little, please. Yeah.
Considering that most of us gathered, excuse me, in that hall were dedicated to this guru and this path, I was surprised by this person's question. Surely the answer was to stay on this path, joining with us in our shared practices. The guru, however, listened with dispassion. He paused. What he said next was underwhelming, yet I remember it to this day. The guru's reply was, just do the next thing. Just do the next thing. What did he mean? The guru explained, when paralyzed by fear, the brain shuts down and has nowhere to go. At such a time, there is only one thing to do. The next thing. Sit up in your bed, take out the trash, drink a glass of water, do the next thing.
And so let's go to Joan maybe to finish up, okay?
I can't see that to read it. It's too small
All right.
for me.
How about Sherilyn? Can you see it,
Yes.
please?
Just do the next thing. What did he mean?
Well, it's below that. It's
Okay. Yes.
of the hundreds.
Of the hundreds of journal pages I wrote in the 3 years I resided at the ashram, this one sentence has stayed with me. It means everything to me. Just do the next thing means I focus my attention embodying spiritual power, the power identified by Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore as the ability to concentrate, be masterful, and stand in spiritual authority. By concentrating on that one next thing, as simple and practical as possible, I interrupt confusion and questioning. I center my mind and action in the present. I get unstuck from the cause of fear. Just do the next thing means I take the easy way, the path of least resistance, walk through the open door. I have done things the hard way. Have you? The Nigerian proverb teaches, the snail has no hands, the snail has no feet. Gently, the snail climbs the tree.
Your thoughts, esteemed colleagues, experienced A Course in Miracles students. Anything? Go ahead.
We tend to make too much out of simple things and make them appear bigger and more scary than they need to be. And this is something so simple and it makes so much sense. That you just do the next thing, whatever it is that you would be doing, and keep on going.
Is there any evidence that just doing the next thing is significant? What are the implications of just doing the next thing? Why would you always just do the next thing?
It
It
keeps you in the now moment. Like life is a succession of now. So you stay in the present.
Well, why would you always stay in the now? Based on what principle, what teaching would have you trust that just doing the next thing is appropriate?
I think it's talking to not being stuck,
Mhm.
not staying stuck in your fear or your anxiety or your depression or your
Yeah.
grievance.
Familiar word.
Mhm.
Love holds no grievances. That's what hit me. And then the Nigerian proverb at the end about the snail. It's not holding grievances that it has no hands, nor does it have any feet. And yet it just keeps doing the next thing, and gently it climbs the tree.
I'm familiar with that passage from the 12-step program, say, just do the next right thing.
Ah, okay.
That's a big like slogan in the 12-step program.
Yeah. Here, what are some of the other benefits? They allude to them in that last full paragraph. Just do the next thing means I take the what way?
Easy way.
You like that?
Yes.
The path of least resistance. With that, right? How about walking through the open door instead of bumping your head trying to find the way all the time?
Sure. Just keep it simple, do the next best thing that you can.
And
take your
and why what is the underlying principle that you would depend on here? How about
something would come to your consciousness that you had not been aware of before.
and that's the way, when you see that just doing the next thing
Mhm.
is gonna be the right thing, and you see it working for you, but you also see how much anxiety you didn't have to carry,
Right.
how worry free you become,
Mhm.
knowing that you are being led, you are being guided. If you just trust it, it'll show you the next thing to be done. What would your life be like if you never fought anything that happens?
Very peaceful.
Yes.
Now, it may not, even if it doesn't work out, you had an easy time doing it. What does Julius Caesar said? I'd rather die one death than 1,000 deaths. Okay,
Yes.
one will be hard enough. Why punish myself with preparing over and over, unless I love misery and pain and suffering? Who in their right mind would choose that hard way? Am I making too big a deal out of this?
Mm-mm.
Do you
Just
see
about right.
wisdom that A Course in Miracles? You got your books. All right,
Sure.
so we'll go to lesson 25 to start closing this one out. And in the workbook for students, lesson 25 says, I do not know what anything is for. And it's on page 38. Are you all able to find it?
And
Yes.
oh, yeah.
Okay. I did, here, I'll read it. Purpose is meaning. Today's idea explains why nothing you see means anything. You do not know what it is for. Therefore, it is meaningless to you. Everything, how many things
All.
Everything.
All
is
things.
for your own best interest. So if that's true, why would you run away from a situation? Why wouldn't you address it knowing it's in your best interest? It would not be in front of you if it is not in your best interest. So if I just do the next thing, I'm simply trusting that it's for my good. Comment.
There's something, I don't know, that I really prefer to do the next right thing, because just do the next thing. It could be ego driven too. I don't know. It doesn't sit well. I don't know. I'm so used to that other slogan that missing word makes a difference to me.
If you didn't have, if you weren't debating that, the debate is coming from the ego.
Yes, it is.
So as Eckhart Tolle would say yes, yes, and yes to life. It's when you become fearful that you have to make the right choice or it'll be the wrong choice. What this is saying is there is no wrong choice if love is all there is. Keep talking, Miss Newman. Always love the feedback.
I hear you, and my I'm not always I'm sometimes with my ego making a choice. So
Yes. And it's not sometimes this maintains. This is non-dual. There's only one way, and by definition, it's the right way. Or it wouldn't be the way, as if there were, in fact, a wrong way. Let's bring in Miss Erickson.
Well, when
I
you
knew
say
we'd have a good time with this.
when you say just do the next thing, it takes out all the debate. It takes out all decisions. It takes out all present and future. It keeps you in the now. It keeps you in that place of oneness because there is nothing else.
And no matter how cunning or intellectual
Right.
it may appear, this is the path of salvation.
Because
This is the one that will take you through the, go ahead, Kathleen.
I was just going to say, because just do the next thing. It just resonates with me. There's nothing else but the next thing. There's no past, there's no future, there's no up, there's no down. There is just it.
You have the ability to conjure up
Oh yeah.
something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, our ego loves a debate.
Yeah, because when I practice doing that, the ego says to me, but But you know, there's always that but. It's like, well, shouldn't you? And and all those questions come up, and the ego tries to guilt me out of getting out. My ego, if I let my ego do that, it tries to guilt me out of staying in the doing the next thing and staying in that moment, because it's saying, well, that's all it comes up. You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Just I could let it be a never ending battle.
Let me offer one other example and we'll get some closing comments from everyone. Have you heard of these situations where people act heroically
Mhm.
and they'll ask them after, wow, where did you find the courage to do this? He said, I don't know. I didn't think about it. It was just a natural, yeah, there was no time to debate. So whatever the natural thing was came forth. And then after they'll say, oh my God, I could have been killed doing that. Comments from Joan, Ron, Sherilyn.
Well, I agree. I think we need, when we get to that point where we're so frightened, we need that relief and release to go on from there. And I think that to just do the next thing, no matter what it is, and how silly or unnecessary it might seem, it gives you the break you need to get yourself together again.
That'll be intuitive.
Yes.
Not necessarily intellectual, but intuitive. And she puts the lady that wrote this, the spiritual thread on this is in that second to the last paragraph. It starts, just do the next thing means, and then in that it says, by concentrating on that one next thing, as simple and practical as possible, I interrupt confusion and questioning. I center my mind and action in the present. I get unstuck from the cause of fear, because fear is what brings up the debate. And as we've learned, fear is not real.
So the next thing is always the right thing to do, even if it doesn't appear to work out that way, because we can always learn from making these so-called mistakes or whatever. Either way, we can learn and grow. We don't have to have the right decision every time. We're not going to have the right decision every time.
You're either going to get a reward or a lesson. Both of those are valuable. So
Yes.
no fear, we're saying. All things are working together for good. When?
All the time.
That's the point. So if you're looking for a simple solution to drop your cares and worries, just remember that everything is in my own best interest.
There's a lot of trust involved in that.
Isn't that the first characteristic of a teacher of God?
Yes.
Do you see how these things, you can connect the dots in the course's teachings and see them reflected more or less universally? when we look at 12 steps or other spiritual spiritual paths, it says trust in what's running things. And that's not you, at least not the personality you've made.
I have to say, I'm not there. I'm not there with this whole discussion. I'm missing something because to me, there's an important point and do the next right thing in that I have a choice to go with my ego or to go with my higher self. And this is leaving out the choice.
Consciousness was the first step in the tiny mad idea. You don't really have a choice, but you can think you do. So
Well, I've missed something big through this whole thing
I
because
totally respect that, Dee, and it's not for everybody, or maybe not at this time, or maybe it's dead wrong.
Well,
But what I see is some consistency in the course's teachings. Joan, you had a comment, right?
No, just thinking about choice. I think choice is often in the realm of the ego.
Okay. And I'm kind of with you on that. However, Dee's not quite on board with it. And that's what we're here for, is to present some pretty advanced ideas for you experienced the Course in Miracles students. So we had a good talk, right?
yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Any other comments, my friends?
well, what for me, it's if you start thinking of level 1 and level 2, what I think of is where do I originate from? I'm always from where I originated from, is that the oneness or whatever, but I can be on the earth plane doing earth plane things, but I can be functioning from that's the
Yes.
step above it, you know? And I find that I definitely don't do that all the time, but I do find that I now have moments where I'm kind of like up there looking down, doing what I need to do here to
Yeah.
be on the conveyor belt of the earth plane and move forward. But more often I find myself elevated.
Yeah, I use level 1 principles
Mm-hmm.
as my guide here on earth, thinking that they will offer me the proper protection or whatever to do whatever I'm supposed to do here. And I just trust in that guidance without question every moment.
Yeah. And what I've been reminding myself is that when I'm in my most fearful place, I go to I remind myself that this is so insignificant, because I will whenever I leave this plane, I will go beyond that. So what I'm experiencing now, no matter what happens, I will still exist in whatever form, shape, whatever it is. I don't know for sure whatever it is, but whatever it is, I'm going to be there.
And it's gonna be good.
Oh yeah.
All right. uh, I looked at that little booklet. It's been sitting on my coffee table 2 or 3 weeks now, and it kept calling to me. So I think it provided some thought for our ACIM talks, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, my friend. Let's get into our main study tonight. We're in Unity and A Course in Miracles on page 45. And Joan, again, when you are ready, let me try
Oh, okay.
sending you
We're
an
on page
agenda.
45. I thought we were on page 50. I thought it said we were on page 50.
Oh, my bad, my bad, my
Okay.
bad. The chapter starts on 45, but
Yep.
you're right. We're on page 52,
Yeah.
and we're in the last section of it's called, well, here, I'm trying to do a short version. That the last big section was called Our Perceived State, and it started on page 48. And within our perceived state, there's another section after that called Christ, Son of God, and the Sonship. Do you see that on 51?
Yes.
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 All right, we're in the last segment of that about Christ, Son of God, and the Sonship. We read what A Course in Miracles said about it last time.
Mhm.
Let's look at some unity statements about Christ or the Son of God or the Sonship. And are we up to Kathleen as far as reading?
I think so. So we're on unity.
Yes, please.
Christ is not a person. It is not Jesus. Christ is a degree of stature that Jesus attained, but a degree of potential stature that dwells in every man. The
Please.
man that God created in his own image and likeness and pronounced good and very good in spiritual man, this man is the direct offspring of divine mind, God's idea of perfect man. This is the only begotten Son, the Christ, the Lord God, the Jehovah, the I Am. The Christ man or true man is the perfect ideal. Humanity is the ideal on the way of realization. Christ abides in each person as potential perfection. Each person has within him or herself the Christ idea, just as Jesus had. Each person must look to the indwelling Christ in order to recognize their divine origin and birth. In every person, the Christ, or the Word of God, is enfolded. It is an idea that contains ideas. The creature that you have seemed to be will no longer appear. The new man, image and likeness of God, Christ, will become manifest when you awaken to the consciousness of it.
Sounds deep to me. What are your thoughts?
Sounds like the Course in Miracles.
Mm-hmm.
In what way?
Well, the same way that Christ is not a person. It's something that dwells in each and every one of us.
Yes. In the third paragraph, it says the Christ man or true man is the perfect ideal. Is the Christ man or true man an individual?
No, it's
No.
consciousness.
And yet, humanity is that ideal on the way of realization. Comments? Christ abides in each person. Is a person a man or a woman, or classically referred to as man? Is Christ a man or a woman?
No.
No.
What makes you say that from what I read? It's something distinguishable that abides in each person.
Well, it says in every person the Christ or the Word of God. It's the Word of God that's in each person.
And that
And
is the real person. It's not the body. It's the thing that abides in the body that gives it life. All right. Here, let's do it this way. Here's Jim talking to you, right?
Mhm.
right.
And then Jim dies and the lights turn off, right?
Okay.
What happened to Jim's body? Would it be sitting up? Would it be mouthing? Would it be gesturing? What happened? What was different? The body didn't change
The spirit,
except in position. Go ahead, Kathleen.
the spirit of life has left.
That's what I think it's saying.
And they've done scientific studies, and I get that when they weighed a person before he died and then after he died, there's a difference. That something has left the body, and it's the essence.
Now that's interesting. I've heard that same discussion, and the body weighed no different. But I don't want to get too far
Yeah,
inside on that. It's just that something that is not physical
it's no longer there.
and it turned the whole physical off. There was something that abided in it that turned the light on. And if something to where it was something happened to it, it was like the lights got turned off. That's the Christ. That's life. That's the life that God extended to be like itself by extension, more joy, more simply by extension. If you're happy when their two telephones were invented, you must be ecstatic at what happened to your idea. I'm just talking now. Help me out. Christ abides in each person as what?
Potential perfection.
All right. Each person has within himself or herself the Christ idea, just as Jesus had. That's why Jesus was a way shower and kept saying, you're just like me. You operate on this, and this is love.
But I thought that's the part of us that doesn't die when the body goes.
The Christ?
Yeah.
Correct.
It leaves the body, but
And
doesn't-
it's still there, but not visible to your eyes because your eyes are turned off. The whole mechanism is inoperable. But what that was lives on, as you were saying, Dee. Now, you can buy this, all of you, or not buy it. One leads to living happily ever after, the other leads to oblivion. Since you want to choose, okay, choose. One is inevitable, but if you like the other one that leads to impermanence, something ephemeral, something temporary, as you can see every day, folks are coming and going from here. This is a rest stop or not to someplace else. It's obvious because people are here and then they're not. I'm thinking of Dorothy. She says, "Oh my, people come and go so quickly here." That should be a red flag right there. It's very uncertain. It's not stable, is it?
No.
So,
And the other one that's promised is eternally loving. But if you want to choose the other one that seems to hold no certainty whatsoever and has no redeeming qualities like love or something universal you can depend on, choose that one. Yet everyone shall hear the call in the end. It's inevitable. It's grace.
So what's the part that dies then?
The illusion.
I, I've been with millions, not millions, but many people when they have passed. I've been with my pet and holding my pet when my pet has been put down. And when I can only say that when that last breath is taken, there is such a peace that there's an energetic peace that just comes over the whole person, knowing that that essence that made them what they were is no longer there and it has passed. It's just so for me, I can only speak for me. It's just like, it's just like it's like there aren't any words to describe it, but if you're there and you're witnessing it, when you witness it, you know it.
Even the illusion can
Right.
only end in peace. How violent is nothing?
Someone can be, yeah, this is just because you can tell this is something that really, someone could be shot or get hit by a car or be something like that, but in that instant when that ends, there's only peace. The violence doesn't continue in the body. The all the other stuff, agony doesn't continue. It's just peace. There's a peace and there's a blessing that just comes.
There are only two choices the
Mhm.
Course teaches. One is love,
Hmm.
the other is fear.
Yeah.
And
And
of the two choices, only one is real.
Mhm.
right,
Which
Yeah.
one are you going to choose?
love.
Love always.
Duh. But the world doesn't explain things to you that way. The world teaches that you can do anything you want. You can
Right.
to a point, but I'm not going to let you tear creation down for your hallucinations and sowing your wild oats. So go ahead, do your thing, but you'll be back home. Why? Simply because there is nowhere else.
Hmm. Exactly.
I could have tried telling you, but you don't operate that way. You have to come home because you, individual expression with the gift, the freedom to choose it for yourself.
And
That'll be
just
really
just
stable.
an example of that, when my grandmother was dying, she said to my father, "There's a man over there and he wants me to go with him, but I'm not going now." And she didn't. When she was ready, she left.
Mm.
So it's a decision.
And yet, it's the outcome is sure.
Yes.
It's how long do you want to think there's another will?
Mm-hmm.
How long, oh Son of God? How long? I'm sorry, the words from the chorus. Okay, take
Mhm.
your time, but the suffering is needless, but you want choice, okay?
Exactly.
All right.
It's the final surrender.
Let's go to the summary here, okay? We did Kathleen. Sherilyn, you read too, didn't you, or no?
Yes, I did. Mhm.
So we're back to Ron. Ron, do you see where we are on 53 summary?
Yes,
Would you please?
sure. An overview of our one mission. Here are some quotations that address what Jesus attained and what is humanity's ultimate purpose. You will note A Course in Miracles refers to universal experience and emphasizes one theology is impossible for all of humanity.
Keep going, please.
A Course in Miracles. A universal theology is impossible, but a universal experience is not only possible, but necessary. Manual, page 77. Although Christian in statement, the Course deals with universal spiritual themes. It emphasizes that it is but one version of the universal curriculum. There are many others, this one differing from them only in form. They all lead to God in the end. There is nothing but me, Jesus, you cannot attain. I have nothing that does not come from God. The difference between us now is that I have nothing else. This leaves me in a state which is only potential in you.
Yeah, thank you. And Ron, and everyone, I thought about that passage immediately when in that first paragraph at the bottom of 52, The first thing from Unity says Christ is not a person, it is not Jesus. Christ is a degree of stature that Jesus attained, but a degree of potential stature that dwells, abides in
Yeah.
every man. So I connected those. Ron, why don't you finish that up for us, please? There's nothing, oh no, you did finish. And we got to do unity, right? And then, yeah, we got
Right.
time for that. D, what is unity?
Christ abides in each person as potential perfection. Each person has within himself or herself the Christ idea, just as Jesus had. Each person must look to the indwelling Christ in order to recognize their divine origin and birth. The more you think about the Christ within, the stronger will grow your consciousness of the divine presence and your oneness with him until you can be still and know that I am God. The one and only object of humankind's existence is the development of his or her soul, and any attainment, whether mental or material, that cannot be associated with and counted as an aid toward that end will ultimately be refused.
Now, notice it didn't say it would ultimately be punished.
Mhm.
It'll go down to nothingness, and its only residual will be peace. There are no losers.
Mhm.
The whole idea of winners and losers is illusory. Love does not have winners and losers. It has one environment. Its oneness is its power. It is the essence of it. Do you see why the separation idea was so audacious? Or is it debatable? Jesus says this is only debatable in the minds of the deluded. And I'm so grateful to see an alternative out of this mess.
Mhm.
The alternative is this: I have a plan to save you. I've transformed every illusion you made for bad into an illusion that will lead to your good. Don't run from it. It's not what it used to be. If you have a little willingness, I will take the mess you made and turn your lemons to lemonade. The only problem is you have to give it over to me. Unless there are things you want to keep for yourself and select some for you do not underestimate the extent of this insanity. It's permeated every aspect of your life. The things that are on your radar, but so many things that are not, that you're still not aware of. Give me all of it, and I'll turn it into your way home. Good place to wrap up.
Mhm.
Yes.
We actually finished chapter 4. And so next time we'll start chapter 5. This looks interesting. Separation, relative mind, and the ego. So I know, like me, you can't wait to get into that. Did we do okay tonight?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I won't belabor it. I'll take the win and say I wish you a good rest of the week. Thank you for being a part of my life, guys. Any final comment before we go?
Yes.
Deep gratitude.
Yeah.
Same back at you. No winners and losers here, right?
Right.
Right.
See you soon. Love you.
Love you all.
Okay.
you
Love you
too.
too.
Namaste.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jim.
Jim.
Absolutely.
Have a blessed week, everybody.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
too.
thank you. You too.